What up, my freaks? RuinusInsight here with part 10 of my Total War Warhammer 3 modded Fay Enchantress Old World Classic campaign. So as we saw last time, we have moved into the Appuccini Mountains just south of the vaults here, and have started our first fights, I guess, against the Barrow Legions. The main stack of Heinrich Kemmler is on the rise once again. I think they might have been killed off by the Wood Elves or by someone they were fighting here earlier. But Kem did just lose 2 of his stacks to us, so he's not having a good time. Olivie of the Braid had her first fight, just sort of leveling up the troops that are going to be replacing the troops in the Fay Enchantress's army, which we are currently bringing to her, but like I said, we may as well take a few territories on the way. Meline Dutremer's army is, well, if not quite trained up to where it wants to be, is effectively ready with those men-at-arms with long bows up to 234 range, and we should be able to get an easy 20% additional range via red line skills and technologies, and if we should want to replace one of the bows with another damsel, we could get it up to 30% increase, which is going to be a heck of a lot of range for this, well, ranged army. Go figure. We'll see how that works out in a rather short order, but are looking to knock out the sort of major threats that border us before we start any proper errantries to sort of faraway territories, like into the Badlands and sort of the northern portion of the desert that is part of Old World Classic. We got Norska, we got Albion, which of course we should visit, but the first errantry, or perhaps rescuing force, will have to be moving up north to where Lewin is really struggling and being sandwiched between Silostra and whatever this guy's name is. Ashok? I don't know who leads this faction. Nope, it's Ugruk Cracktooth. So yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on both of those. I would assume that Lewin is not going to get wiped out, but you never know. The armies that he's currently building are, by the looks of it, significantly weaker than those being built by Bordelot Errant, who seems to be willing to use Questing Knights and Grail Knights and other stronger units. There is that. Anyway, I'm digressing already. Let's see what we gotta do ourselves this particular turn. Now, first of all is the building, though I don't think that there is all that much. We will want to upgrade the landed estate, the tavern, and lastly, and most importantly, the windmill at the Eastern Aranas. Novalon Pass, we're leaving at Tier 1, and Parash, I don't know whether we're keeping or not. Frankly, I would prefer that it's us that would border the Athel-Loran, but the border gore here is kind of horrific, so I am not 100% sure yet as to how we're going to deal with all of this, and the fact that these dwarfs that absolutely despise us for allying with all the various elves are here, and there's a very strong likelihood, I think, that we're going to have to fight Ziflin because of it, or they'll just declare war on us and take undefended territories. It's also a distinct possibility. But I believe that's it. Other than diplomacy, which we'll check real quick, we've got our first fight on our hands. Oh, Ziflin wants an non-aggression pact. All right, they lost their first army. I remember that from last episode. Brigand, not yet. We're getting ready to ally with you, though. And a military alliance. Taliesin would be the only one that I would like out of these. You know what? I think I'm going to still do it with Taliesin because we are recruiting most of our Wood Elf stuff from them, and I really love the extra allegiance right now. I like so. It's always a little bit iffy because Wood Elves have a tendency to drag you into the fight, but hopefully Taliesin isn't quite as warmongery as Durthu is. We shall see, or Arguelon is. Yeah. Marienburg, we'll leave it as it is. Montfort. I mean, they'll certainly pay us for the military alliances, but it's not super critical right now. All right, and we'll save the rest of our money for the next... well, actually, we have to save up, how much, like 20,000 gold or so? For the Tower of the Enchantress, which is 8.5k, and the Sacred Pool. Ugh, I wish it didn't take 10 turns, because we got to get our first one up and running at least, but we'll get there. We'll get there. In the meantime, though, Fay Enchantress will be getting there to Khazad Citizen. We've got actually a fairly solid stack. 8 units of Graveguard. We got some Crypt Hulks. We got a couple of Cairn Wraiths, which actually trade very well against things like Knights, though perhaps not the Grail Knights, because they will charge with magical damage. Let's see how this goes for them. Go. Alrighty, here we go. For Bretonnia indeed, and now without the Green Knight in our army, we will just have the Fay Enchantress leading alone. And she's going to face off against an enemy vampiress while try to block off those Cairn Wraiths from surrounding her with a quick, whatchamacallit, Awakening of the Woods, which forces them to back off and then allows our Grail Guardians to charge right through and dish out about half damage to both of the enemy Cairn Wraiths. I love the Cairn Wraiths as a unit, and, well, I'm wary of the damage they can deal, and thusly they were the critical targets here. And of course the enemy has Crypt Hulks here as well, which are absolutely fantastic. Some definitely solid units, and we may very well leave our Knights to sort of just fight for a while, rather than having them ride everybody down. I mean, might as well do so, especially since they're going to be blocked off by the Black Knights here. Also, kind of unrelated, but I do love the... I've always loved Kemmler's color scheme, the Barrow Legion, that sort of blue color. It looks really great on the vampire count. The reason, or one of the reasons, being that even by itself, it sort of matches the whole, balefire glow on everything. And it works nicely with the corroded armor on all the Graveguard and stuff. It's just a very, very solid color scheme. But anyway, I digress. The enemy is still defending, but unlike other factions in previous defensive battles, like the Orcs, which could actually fire upon us, obviously the Vamps can't do that. They do have the tower. Not towers, because the first tower has been brought down and now this second one has fallen thanks to the combination of our artillery and our flying paladin, and now it's just a matter of time as we grind the enemy down, which we should do pretty successfully. Neither the Black Coach nor the Black Knights nor the Cairn Wraiths are having a very good time against the Grail Knights and Guardians. And Fay Enchantress continues to lead, though this time with one of the units of Grail, I don't know, Guardians or Knights, whichever, here with her, and the mobs of peasants, so trying to get in to the settlement. All just blobbed up. Admittedly, with the enemy rushing sort of the entrance to the settlement, it is taking longer for the peasants to make their way forward, but that's alright. Plus, the vampire counts should be used to a similar sort of stratagem where they would have to get through our giant piles of trash mobs in the same way that we would have to get through theirs. And frankly, by the looks of it, they have more, well, mid-tier at the very least units with all of those Graveguard and stuff, and interspersing the Crypt Ghouls amongst the tankier Graveguard is a solid choice as well, as the Crypt Ghouls continuously will deal that lethal poison, and in fact we'll want to put a stop to that, so we're going to charge on in with our Knights. And once again, so happy about them having their banners aloft. Yeah, similar to now the way that I can no longer play without the Caravan mod. Hopefully more factions have this banner mod or a variant of it, because this is a Bretonnia specific banner mod, which is presumably why we don't see the banners on the enemy factions. Huh. I should double check whether there's like a collection that just collects this particular set of mods for all the factions with which it works, because once again, it's such a simple little thing, but I've been missing it ever since, I don't know, Total Warhammer 2 or whatever that mod was that added the sort of captain unit. I think that one had banners as well, or it might have been another one that had the banners in addition to the captain unit in the individual unit, or the captain model in the individual units. But anyway, I continue to digress, but what else am I to do here as we slowly wait for the peasants to obliterate the enemy skeletons? We have finally broken through the enemy fortification, though, which means we could stream into the enemy settlement as soon as we want. In the meantime, we have tried to send our paladin towards the enemy. He did get surrounded for a while by the Graveguard with halberds, and thusly, I lost about 50% of his HP and damage. But he backed away and went after the Necromancer instead, who is having a much worse time of it. Though now the Graveguard have caught up, we'll set a few of them flying. And soon, hopefully, use this Necromancer to feed the fungi, and then I guess we'll have an orc problem afterwards. Anyway, the Necromancer falls, the enemy Vamp has probably recovered at least a teensy bit as he's back up to 75% of his HP, and we're up to, down to rather 50%. And now the Paladin is surrounded not only by the Graveguard, but also with the Ghouls, and he's not immune to contact effects, which is actually kind of odd. I suppose maybe immunity to contact effects might be too powerful on Paladins. I'm just thinking that we have the Valor upgrade that we get for all Grail Guardians and Knights available to us. But we don't have a similar Valor upgrade for the Paladins, so the individual is in some ways worse than the group of Grail Knights. And obviously the high-tier Paladins all have the Grail vow unlocked, so I don't know. Feels a little bit odd to me there. I just feel like maybe they should have the immunity to contact effects as well, if, or at least an upgrade or a technology that gives it to them, if the Grail Knights and Guardians do. But it is a tendency in this game that, you know, individual units have a tendency not to get the same upgrades as their sort of multi-unit counterparts. It's always been a little bit weird. But anyway, this time the Fay Enchantress is joined by 3 prophetesses who touch down and start fighting in the melee. Their stats leave something to be desired: 17 armor, 38-30 melee attack and defense, but the 3 of them together, on top of the fact that we have the Fay Enchantress to heal them, they should be just fine. Plus, unbuffed Graveguard are not going to do a lot. Their stats are fairly negligible, and as we can see, in between... Wait, who's applying Blinded? Oh, it was from the healing light, I believe, from the Friar. Anyway, the minus 18 melee attack that we have in an aura around the Fay Enchantress means that the Graveguard are having a difficult time. Once again, loving all the little banners aloft. And there we go, or whatever these little relic head is. Whatever it is, I love it. Anyway, the battle is just about ours now. The bounce power at about 95% in our favor. This time, we've sent our Grail Knights and Guardians away from the main stack so that the Paladin could once again duel the enemy lord without hopefully interfering. Really, it's the Halberdier Graveguard that were annoying because they have the Cavalry Bane application. Wait, are we still Cavalry Baned on the Knights of Ni? I thought they were... Oh wait, no, the Knights of Ni are not immune to contact effects, so the Endesne is immune to contact effects. But I suppose it doesn't matter. Now the Paladin has returned for more to continue his duel with the enemy lord, and the duel ends in his defeat, with the Paladin having been healed up with a regrowth from the Fay Enchantress to full. With the fall of the enemy lord, like his necromancer minion before him, the undead begin to melt away, and the battle will be ours in short order. Fay Enchantress still working with those prophetesses to banish the last of the dead, which also does make sense in context here. Alright, and one little unit remains. A last skelly boy will apparently not melt away. There we are. Alrighty, there we go. Very nice fight indeed. We've got the peasants actually putting in the work and doing a little bit of damage, fighting them, especially the peasant mobs, and actually not taking all that much in the way of damage. Our paladin did struggle a little bit in defeating the enemy lord and necromancer, but paladins are a little bit more, well, trend to a little bit more of a tanky hero, and without additional melee attack do struggle to get through the sort of inflated SFO stats, so we are going to need to pump up those numbers. As for the knights, it looks like the Knights of Ni slightly beat out the Endesne here, most likely once again by virtue of their larger numbers, us reducing their numbers to, once again, to 16 when we evolve them also to Grail Guardians to be in the Fay's army, will make them a little bit less killy, but a little bit more tanky, so that's a nice trade-off. Anyway, we will occupy this place. Like so. Vampire Slayer, Opal Amulet, Sword of Swift Slaying. Oh, we got those two for completing the quests. More importantly, this is a source of items. Perhaps SFO built Bretonnia around getting items or sourcing items. 2 channeling staves. Let's fuse those. into another book of Assure. Okay, not a bad thing, but I would have preferred something a little bit more interesting. Anyway, as I was saying, maybe SFO built the current Bretonnia around getting items, not via magic item drop chance so much as pumping out those errantries. And I do like that take on it. Certainly interesting. We gotta keep pumping out those errantries. That hasn't changed. Otherwise, we got the defensive building at Kazad Citizen, and you know what? You can keep it for now. Pretty much everywhere needs farms, so I think we'll build it, even though I don't know how much I really care about this particular territory, though, since there is a pasture here. Wait, where's the pasture? Ah, that's interesting. Pasture in the middle of the mountains. Oh, I actually, to some degree, maybe that does make sense. But anyway, the upkeep reduction for the various knight units is what that gives us, and that is a nice thing. And we're gonna have to probably peel off to go down to Lycoros to make sure that it gets destroyed. Also, I just want to make sure that if this gets attacked, wait. We can't select you because you're recruiting. Is there a free lord that is at war with us? No, there is not. I can't quite tell whether you're in range of the Fay Enchantress. Okay, like this you will be, though, I think.
We have met before.
Yeah, I think that guarantees it, hopefully. I guess another issue would be if one of them besieged the Fay's army, but we won't suffer attrition here now, so we will, I guess, channel? Nah, it's worth a little tiny extra bit of gold loss. Also, you have, just the 1 point. Probably doesn't matter enough for us to be super concerned with, but you know what? I think since we're getting our replacement units, I think it's time to start going through Worshippers of the Grail. Since this is a lord, we can already overcast every spell, and while there are certain spells we use pretty much whenever they're up, which is Shield of Thorns mainly, and the occasional Earthblood and Regrowth, I'd rather have the ability to cast every single spell first, and finally to get that stand your ground red line. Yeah, alright, so let's go for Worshippers of the Grail. Like so. Alrighty, anybody else need to do anything this particular turn? I don't believe you do. I do want to do a quick hero check, just in case. Weapon Master Disciplined, alright, I did want that guy with the Virtue of Audacity. And similarly, I do believe I wanted this guy with the Virtue of the Ideal, or Virtue of Ideal, which is really nice. It may not be a paladin, but yeah, I feel like we should take lords with auras rather than personal buffs, which is just good. Anyway, I believe we're ready to end the turn, so skip. I don't believe we got any new allies of significance. No defensive alliances with the Imperials as yet. Who again are doing pretty okay. It's nice to see the Empire not getting obliterated. I wonder if that has to do with Bretonnia still being in decent shape here. But I do like to see it. Huh, who are these guys? I like the sort of, it's a vamp faction. I like the faction icon with the, I don't know, the little Loch Ness Monster sort of deal. And, did I just see a landmark? Oh, that was Arengrad, okay. Yeah. Or the sea worm, whatever that is. Anyway, let's end the turn. Once this army arrives, we can also probably do the Gotrek and Felix battle and send them off somewhere on some kind of errantry. Ooh, and we gotta make a caravan army of our own in this particular faction, since we can borrow war wagons from the Imperials. That'll make up the core of a nice caravan army. I always have so much fun with those, and I don't think it's gonna be any different here. And we can sort of put a smattering of units together with them. That I think will be entertaining. Also, while the turn is ending, once again, I know you hate to hear about it, but the engagement threshold remains. If we retain or maintain the engagement streak at 350 likes and 60 comments, we will do a second double episode, well, I guess later today. So do keep that in mind. Drop those likes and comments below if you've been enjoying this particular campaign and want more. Anyway, Bordelot Aaron, to you, I am very interested to see where you're going to move, because you're hunting down the Broken Axe right now, and we're trying to deal with them ourselves with Bertrand's army. Can't quite see if any territory has changed hands. I do notice that Tourist Vigilance is still occupied by Mousillon, so Bordelot is admittedly fighting on two fronts. Probably something of an issue for them. I would imagine the Mousillon will probably also declare war on us, or one of the factions that we've defensively aligned with will do so. So it is something to watch out for. Hey, don't go up here. Oh, no. I hate the frickin' opportunistic AI. Okay, so the annoying aspect of this is going to be them taking territory that we might potentially want. Wait, are you even at war with these guys? I thought you were friends. Or is this the one faction of the Southern Realms that they were actually against? Huh. Lord Laurent has confederated Brigand, interesting. Cabal destroyed, that's great. Green Knight will be instantly healed after battles, also great. Caravan completed, also great. And 2 more Wildwood Rangers. Is that the same caravan that already had 2 Wildwood Rangers? And hello. Perfected Twilight Horn. Enemy leadership -10. Oh, that's an interesting one. I'll have to double check what heroes and units we have for a leadership shock army. / morale shock army. Those are always pretty fun as well. I think the only units that we have... I was earlier saying that we didn't really have a use for the peasant bowmen with fire arrows because we don't have too much in the way of fire damage in this particular faction, with the exception of the Grail Knights. These guys do have a anti-leadership effect on them, though. Is there anybody else that causes an anti-leadership effect? In theory... Not in practice, but in theory, all Grail Knights should have a small, at least, anti-leadership aura on the undead and probably chaotic, but especially the undead. But anyway, I think we're gonna have to take a look at heroes for any anti-leadership stuff, because it's not enough. Yeah, miscast physical resistance and spell resistance, which is fine, but not what I'm looking for. Do any of the Brigands have any kind of anti-leadership on them? I wonder if Waylay does anything to leadership. We'll have to take a look at it later because I don't think we're able to immediately see them. Anyway, Perfected Twilight Horn, you can stay there. Negative growth really doesn't hit us as hard as other factions, so I'm gonna ignore it. Anyway, I just want to see... If I take a look at you... Ow. Okay, I won't be able to see what exactly it does because I can't actually select the unit. Oh, actually, wait, I can. I lied. If we take a look at Bertrand for a second... We can look at them like this. Wait, can we? Huh. I see brigands. Oh, they're there. This is melee defense reduction, armor reduction, and speed. Unfortunately, no leadership reduction there. We'll have to take a look at our various kind of lords and also see if anybody has any leadership reductions. Because it's not worth just using the peasants with fire arrows if this is all that they've got, you know what I mean? Anyway, you. Speaking of Bertrand, I'm gonna move you all the way up here as close to the Bears of Quila as possible. I wonder if Morglis Troll Eater will be looking to move towards us, or... Yeah, see, I noticed that Theodoric de Brienne is moving here. We could probably take Orcamont without too much trouble, so we're gonna have to try to book it over there and, well, beat these guys to it. I just realized that I moved you slightly out of range, and I would like these guys to reinforce. And by reinforce, I mostly mean to, you know, be nearby to leech XP. You can build a pasture. Are pretty useful to us, so we're gonna maintain them and hope we can, well, keep these territories. Yeah, alrighty. Anyway, we got a new tech available. I was gonna do one of these unless it's one turn. Yes, it's one turn now for Harbor Master bribes, so we'll start with that to increase the maximum number of caravans available. You, Esteban, I believe you're good at traveling through Empire lands. We haven't been to any of the... You've got a mix of Kislevites and Imperials and Bretonnians. I'm gonna say we're gonna send you to the Dwarfs. Because we haven't been to any of the Dwarfen factions. We got Zufbar, Karazakarak, Kadrin, and Barakavar. Yeah, funnily enough, I could send you to the Southern Realms now, but we'd have to travel through territories of people we're at war with. I think Barakavar and Karazakarak are probably the best places to go right now. This looks reasonably safe, especially with Karak Kadrin gone. We did declare war on somebody out here, like Kazrak, so we do have to watch out for them attacking the caravan. So I don't want to send anybody through Dienst right now. I think this is the way to go. Let's try Barrack. Actually, you know what? Let's go to Karazakarak first. It feels like if we're gonna, we should. Anyway, let us increase the money, like so, and away we go. Alright, we'll probably also want to grab a caravan that, you know, benefits from being in Dwarfen territory at some point in the very near future. Also, I just wanted to see whether we needed to build another one of those stables, but it looks like we don't have the capacity. Ooh, Ferrignac, you're ready to upgrade. Duchy capital for 2,000 gold. Nicely cheap. Why are you so reduced here? I'm actually not entirely sure. It was much more expensive to build at Castle Carcassonne. We did get the Texans, but that is not enough. Huh. Oh, you're also getting a slight bonus at least from the Siege Workshop. Well, I guess that you were getting it here as well, so I don't know. But I'm pleasantly surprised to see it. Alrighty, anyway. Okay, so how do we deal with this? Are you at war with Kemmler? No, you're at war with the Broken Nose, which actually is similarly annoying. I don't think you could take Carrick Bufdar with your current army unless you have a second army moving up there, though. And we can take Carrick Exfilaz, so... Oh. You're gonna need to switch stances, like so, and move on in, and Meline d'Outremer will reinforce. We really need those Knights Errant to be leveling, so that they can become Grail, or become Pegasus Knights. You can reinforce. Alright, and let's move the Tech Thieves before I forget, because I have a tendency, and I think we all know it. You go to Domatberg, whatever. Like so. Alrighty, then let's reinforce and let's fight. Anything we need to do here? I guess we could level this Paladin up. Although there isn't really much point. We should just probably wait for this. Alright, fine, fair enough. Let's attack. Pyrrhic victory. I want to see those men-at-arms with longbows and artillery in action. Go. Alrighty, here we go. We still have this little army that is set to deliver the units to the Fay Enchantress, including the Paladin with the armor aura, which I'm sure will come in very handy. The 50-meter range isn't all that big, but at the same time it is big enough to sort of be in the center of a formation. Would be nice to have multiple of these, but the likelihood of finding, you know, it's taken us a while to get even one Paladin with the aura, so unlikely, but we'll see. Anyway, and either way, we've got the army, our newly built army, coming in with the range focus. Obviously, the Knights Errant, who will eventually be Pegasus Knights, but more importantly, the Royal Pegasus Knights, which we haven't seen that. Ultimately decided that what I wanted was we will train up most knights from Knight Errant all the way to whatever they need to be, but the sort of couple of units, as we've seen, we got one unit of Royal Pegasus Knights, we've got one unit of Royal Hippogriff Knights. I just wanted to make sure that they were on the field so that we could enjoy those units without waiting like 20 episodes for the Tier 5 Super Elites to get unlocked. Looking at you, Slaughter Brood. Anyway, looks like with that, we're on field now with our first unit of Royal Pegasus Knights. Keep in mind also that these guys are anti-large, so they will come in handy at defending our flanks from any boar boys, any trolls, anything of that nature that might come our way. And I might, I feel like I'd want a hero to lead them, so we could get a paladin in here to go with them, or we could put the prophetess. I'm wondering whether it would be better to keep the prophetess with the peasant piles in this particular army. I mean, she wouldn't add much in terms of killing us to the Royal Pegasus Knights, and thanks to the Book of Ashur and her range with the Beast Lore, she can target the enemy with Flock of Doom from very far away, so yeah. Anyway, we've also got, 2 and 2 in terms of the trebuchets, 2 blessed, 2 regular, and of course the extra blessed one that's going to the Fay Enchantress's army. And technically we should just build all blessed ones, but, yeah, well, I like to add the irregular ones on occasion just for variety's sake as well. Anyway, looks like the enemy's not heading towards us. We are positioned and getting ready to go, but we can try to make the move towards us either with artillery or with magical artillery. So let's start with the Flock of Doom, annoy them a little bit, and if that doesn't work, we'll move forward and have all of our trebuchets start firing away at them. Also, do the Blessed Field Trebuchets look any significantly different from the regular trebuchet? So this is a Field Treb. Holy Hand Grenade is a Blessed Field Treb. They look identical to me. Absolutely identical. Except the Blessed one is slightly glowing, whereas the non-Blessed one is not slightly glowing. Yes. Alrighty. Who's blessed by the Enchantress? The oh, did they say we are blessed by the Enchantress? I thought they said they are blessed by the Enchantress. Anyway, I'm surprised that the orcs aren't moving their way. There we go. And with that, the units of artillery begin to fire. The enemy has to get rather close to us for our peasant bows. Peasant longbows, I should say, to fire as well, though they do have 234 range, which is pretty darn solid. Anyway, the first unit in range is a unit of squigs, which is kind of a waste of those rocks, and they're being very inaccurate right now, but they're more like ranging shots until the main enemy stack gets in range, and we can start firing upon them. In the meantime, the defenders of the Fleur-de-Lis, the Knights Errant Regiment of Renown, crashes into a unit of Boar Boys, because the defenders of the Fleur-de-Lis are an anti-large unit of Knights Errant. Whereas all the anti-infantry units will loop around and then smash into the enemy's flanks while the defenders do the work. Now, a few of the other Knights Errant will peel away and smash into the enemy lines, but an immediate release of the spinning loons sees the Knights Errant immediately lose about 25 or 30% of their HP in damage. Damn those spinning loons. Again, the spinning loons, even into late game, tend to be the sort of the most threatening units that orc armies have a tendency to muster. And things like doom divers and such. But yeah, I've seen many times these spinning loons simply out-damage things like black orcs and stuff against your own elite infantry. But anyway, there we go. We get the trebuchets working together with the peasant bows and longbows, who are firing away at the enemy, attempting to approach, and are having a fairly bad time of it, the enemy, that is. Granted, our men-at-arms with longbows and such don't do a lot of range damage, but it should be more than enough. In the meantime, the enemy tries to loop around us. We did hide a unit of battle pilgrims in the woods, as we've seen before, who can take on a unit of war boys when debuffed by the woods. And more importantly, this traps them against the Royal Pegasus Knights, which move in and start tearing them to shreds. The enemy army is in a bad way, and the balance power has already shifted to about 90% in our favor, although the first of the enemy units are starting to approach us. I purposely did move our entire army where it would be in the light so we could see them, but it looks like the greenskins are dying in the dark, by and large. But I suppose they are fungi, so, you know, they should be used to it. Oh, love the trebuchets coming down together with the arrows. Honestly, one of the reasons I want a dwarfen ally is not even for all the fancy toys like gyrocopters and stuff, but some rock lobbers. I find it very strange that we don't have access to mangonels/catapults, but we do have access to trebuchets. Because if you're telling me that Bretonnia can't build catapults, you're wrong. They can, or mangonels, and for some reason they're just not here. I mean, would it be that difficult to repurpose the animations and whatnot of a rock lobber/grudge thrower? I guess they think that they wouldn't add much, but you could increase their numbers, so you could have, say, 8 units of mangonels as opposed to the 4 units of trebuchets, something like that. Anyway, not important. The enemy army gets crushed before it effectively reaches our battle lines. Their attempts to maneuver around us fail as they are destroyed by the Knights Errant. And one flank, that's 4 units of Knights Errant on one flank, and then the 1 unit of the flying Royal Pegasus Knights on the other. I actually don't remember where they are anymore, but yeah, very nice. We'll obviously need tougher fights for these guys to be challenged. And they will, of course, get stronger as they go. Ooh, just a quick comparison between the peasant bowmen and the men-at-arms with longbows, who obviously have a slightly better equipment. Not good equipment, but better equipment. Alright, very nice. Solid workout of, well, everybody in the, well, I guess both armies, as they obliterated those orcs. The I was about to say the Blessed Field Trebuchets outdid the regular Trebuchets, but not by a huge margin, especially these two, with the better performing Field Treb outdoing the better performing Blessed Field Treb, if less kills at the very least in terms of damage. Surprisingly not as much XP for the Knights Errant, but perhaps because the Archers did a fair bit of work in the range as well, so they might not be leveling as fast as some of the others. Anyway, we'll occupy the place like so, get a free Hedge Wizard out of it, always nice, and a Royal Pegasus for Alicia. Good. I guess we head to Crinal rather than immediately go towards Carrick Buftar and all of this kind of remains to be seen. Wait. Is this max range for the Enchantress? No. We should try to take this as quickly as possible.
You disappoint me.
But if we're not at war with or if these guys are not at war, maybe we should just attack Carrick Grom and take out Kemler. That would allow us to meet up with this army. The Broken Nose are pretty much broken anyway, so it's not the biggest of concerns that we go after them immediately. We'll see in a moment. Let's see what else we got to do this particular turn before we do anything else. Franciscus de Milieu, you. Okay, this is Guardian for non-knight units, and this is favored by the lady, so it's range. You are, what are you? You're both life, okay.
My sight is yours.
I'm not really picking heroes so much by... Ooh, hello, another tech thief. Picking heroes so much by the lore so much as I am picking them by the available traits that they have. Also, looks like we're gonna need a few more of these Grail Chapels because we are now out of damsel capacity, so it's something to look into. Anyway, you are still recruiting and are going to be so for, well, don't have anything significant as yet, so we'll leave you to it. And thus everybody near you. Luan Diderot, you're following the Fay Enchantress until you get your own army, and frankly the same is true of many of you. You have 10th share. Let's go for Justiciar and then keep moving through this line. And then I believe you two are good where you currently are. Okie dokie. Ooh. We're now bordering these guys. Okay, this may mean we need to send an army that way. Frankly, I'd prefer to send the Fay Enchantress's army that way to banish the demons, and frankly, maybe this is better left to one of the other armies to clean up once we have taken out most of these guys. Because I would wager that these guys will declare war on us rather shortly. And Tobaro has one last settlement remaining here in Carascura, or whatever this place was called. Sarascura, close enough. So yeah, we'll deal with that in a moment. Alright, let's do building, and diplomacy. What do we have here? Tobaro really wants that Dawn Aggression Pact. I don't want to do this for the reason that if they somehow manage to survive, as you know, sometimes the AI refuses to wipe factions out, then, well, I'm not leaving them to take territory with only one settlement. We just wipe them out like we did with Miragliano. Mask of Loic, I notice we don't have a defensive alliance with you, so let's do this. With the trade agreement, of course. Like so. Especially as we may very well put a couple of war dancers in a couple of armies, depending. Alright, good. Tobaro, hey, Torgavan is now available as well.
I have heard much of Bretonnia
and defensive alliance with you. These were the holdouts. Unfortunately, the holdouts did take a while, or long enough that they already have their outposts built up, so there's nothing we can do about that. Alright, that was not the end of the diplomacy, or maybe it was, but I'm not entirely sure. We have military access with the Ice Court. Sure, let's do this. I'd like the trade agreement quite a bit, but, you know. And then defensive alliances, anybody here that we are concerned with? Not at the moment. Marienburg, really willing to pass a fair bit. Oh! Huh. They are very much under attack. They've actually lost their capital. This is all disgusting swampland, so we don't really care that much, even though this does have a very good landmark with the Marienburg Harbor. I just want to see, are you... so I noticed that the Corsairs of Spite are not, in fact, at war with the Continental Exarchate, so at least the High Elves are safe. Honestly, if the High Elves were to take this territory over for themselves, that would actually work nicely for us. Anyway, How much money would Marienburg give us for this?
Greetings, neighbors.
3.6k for the
How
military
fare the lands beyond
alliance.
the Grey Mountains?
I don't see them being super likely into getting us into any unnecessary wars, considering we will be already, or we are already rather, at war with the Corsairs of Spite. So you know what, let's do this. I'm not, however, going to do the trade agreement because the trade agreement will... We're trying to save it for Kislev because we'll get a lot more mileage out of the trade agreement with such a powerful faction.
Right.
Military alliance for the money, essentially.
Add the
And then
ladies'
Caravans, Sigmarsheim will leave you alone. Now, outpost-wise, frankly, Marienburg would be useful if they didn't just lose their capital, because they're technically an imperial faction. These don't matter. Other Bretonnian factions, I mean. Arguila... Oh! Oh, Arguila now has available... Huh. They have Bloodkeep. Oh, I wanted to build the thing in Bloodkeep. Alright, let's go for Karak-Asgaraz. Build the outpost here, which... should be fairly safe from any kind of attack. Alright, he is taking Durthu, that is taking a dwarfen territory, which is why he has this. But yeah, Durthu pretty much has a tendency to always do that, so yeah, I'm not surprised by it. Anyway, Fay Enchantress, I believe we're heading to Karagram then.
The lady gives you her blessing.
Like so. This is a battle marker, right? It's not a hidden encampment or anything. Although ambushing a bunch of Grail Guardians and Knights is probably not the brightest idea in the world, let's say. Alrighty, so you're gonna head to Karagram. We will have a second caravan available next turn. Oh, we'll actually have to summon one because this one's not gonna be ready. Just out of curiosity, who do we have here? Monopolista, increased chance of positive encounters when in the southern realms of man. Oh, we were about to send some caravans down there, and they have ogre mercs. I gotta go with the ogre ones. Yeah, that seems much more interesting. Let's go with the Monopolista here. And hopefully you survive with what you basically have, as in what you start with. You have to start with, I'm gonna say Wayfinders first, just so you don't immediately get ambushed and die. Alright, and what is this? Pledge to Knowledge. Oh, I take it that is your first, yeah, that's your first trough that you start with, or your first vow. Anyway, I think that's it, right? I didn't do building, did I? I also did not check the heroes. Weapon Master, still want that Virtue of Audacity, but no capacities. Yeah, capacities are screwing us right now. What about Lords? Still have the Virtue of Ideal guy. We'll probably have him for a fair bit, so I don't have to worry about it, but we will want to get him on field before long. Let's do building before we fight again. Yes to the buildup of the Chapel of the Lady. This thing keeps annoying me, but I'm going to keep skipping it because it'll eventually be super cheap. The Great Mills, you're kind of in the same position, but... Oh. I was about to say, but we could upgrade Skaven Blight, but it still will not be super cheap. But it will be capacities here. And also, it'll take absolutely ages to upgrade these things, so maybe we will just do it anyway. Kirik Exfilaz, we will want to upgrade that iron. Don't collect the income here. And frankly, this entire territory needs to be redone, so let's do this. Then Akutan, actually Exfilaz, this is the thing that eventually has upkeep reduction for non-knights faction-wide. Which ain't bad. I'm just not sure if we want it right now. Let's wait on it. And then Akatane, you can uncollect the income as well. I'm not going to upgrade you because there's a decent likelihood we'll trade you away. Kezed Citizen, you can maintain your guardhouse, but let us build up that farm. And Quenel, we are similarly not upgrading you because we may trade you or we may lose you, so... No need to, at least for now, I think. What about you? 2 more turns. I really want that trade. Just to double check.
We are willing to hear it.
Via Datsa for Bimo, still 72. Sometimes it changes.
Spellcaster.
I feel like in this particular case, with us owning 3 out of 4 territories and them owning 3 out of 4 territories, this should be an easier swap. Like, the game should make this vastly easier than it seems to be. But no dice, apparently. Anyway, all of you will once again reinforce. As you do. You can just go to March Stance, whatever.
This will achieve nothing.
This will achieve nothing? Surely it will achieve something. Are you able to get past them? Yes, you are. Okay, good. Just wanted to make sure that you can reinforce. Alrighty, Fay Enchantress, we're gonna pop into this fight, so let's level before we do. I do believe I wanted Retinue Physician. Nothing else is super critical here. I'm gonna say go for Retinue Quartermaster. We will want to max this out, because, you know, attrition can be annoying. You know what? Maybe it's time to start going through True Hero of Bretonnia. We do now have Retinue Trainer, and while I do like Foe Seeker, it's not the biggest of deals. Actually, we're probably gonna buff up deadly blade for you to be, you know, doing stuff. Anyway, also Slaanesh giggle. You are looking to get my vow. I don't want Commander's Discipline because I don't want you hitting less hard. Spell resistance is 15% versus a little bit of extra melee defense, but only when fighting undead and only for you. We might get that later, but for now I think it's not critical enough for us to be concerned with, and none of this is super critical either. Yeah, I think we should still get my vow, so let's go with Holy Light, and then my vow. Effect range is rather short. I mean, it is a nice thing. It's not an aura, it's an active ability. I think the vigor per second is probably actually the stronger part of it than the melee attack and defense. And frankly, it seems that Blinding Majesty is just the better pick than my vow, because it's a very nasty contact effect and it buffs up the hero, and at least for those paladins that don't have to choose between the two. If my vow was an aura, then yeah, this would be an easier pick, because it's already a fairly short range, so it's not like it's gonna be insanely overpowered. But anyway, I digress. You need to be rank 9, right? Yes, okay. Well, I'm willing to bet that this fight will get you there. It'll get me there. Go. Let's start. Alrighty, here we go. Heinrich Kemmler is going to attempt to defend here, and I expect it is not going to go very well for him. Granted, there is a decent pile of enemies here to defend, and of course he's got that Krell summon. We'll see if we can't get anybody to duel him. Depends on if he summons him in a blob. If it happens, there's not much getting him out of the blob, admittedly. But we'll see. Anyway, we're going to start the battle off with this one paladin that's been dueling enemy jerks over the course of the, well, pretty much the campaign, ever since he got that Pegasus. Since Amalric is on a regular horse and thus cannot fly, he's obviously not going to be up here and doing the dueling for us. And by the looks of it, this paladin is doing okay. Despite being surrounded by a great weapon Graveguard, he is dishing out damage to that Vampire of Death, who we obviously don't want spamming her Spirit Leech. Out of curiosity, what's our spell resistance on the paladin? 0. Oh, wow. I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting at least some spell resistance. Well, that's not great, and it looks like they're going to hit the Fay Enchantress with the Spirit Leech instead. This Fay Enchantress does have a little bit of spell resistance at 10%, but I never noticed that our army was so light on spell resistance. I find this interesting, and the reason I find this interesting is that the Fay Enchantress offers a 50% spell resistance, or 40% spell resistance buff for battle pilgrims, but does not have anywhere near the kind of spell resistance herself or on her Grail pilgrims or paladins or anything like that. And again, that feels like it's odd. If you have the capability of giving your battle pilgrims a ludicrous amount of spell resistance, but not to give the same to yourself or to, I don't know, much more valuable units like Grail Knights and whatnot, seems odd. Does it matter? No, not at all, because the Grail Knights are so dang strong and the single entities are as well that it ultimately doesn't matter, but it's a principle of the thing. Anyway, speaking of the Grail Knights, they move forward right into the midst of the enemy blob. We're not going to charge through, and we're just going to have them fight, acting as the tip of the spear and trying to get the enemy to blob up around them, rather than around the gate, where we are trying to make our way forward with our peasant mobs and whatnot. Though it does look like at least one unit of Great Weapon Graveguard have closed the distance and are mobbing the gate in the same way that our, well, peasant mobs are doing so. And I'm sure the Graveguard with great weapons will cut down a fair few peasants, especially if we don't help them too much. Oh, this is quite interesting. This one unit of Graveguard is effectively surrounding the units in moving through the gate and periodically cutting down the odd peasant as they try to run past them. That's kind of neat. You have to walk through this sort of like, I don't know, blender or whatever. But we are still going to try our best to walk through them because we want these units actually in the settlement rather than just blobbing up within the gate. So walk past and get into the main fight, where our Grail Knights and Battle Pilgrims still fighting effectively in a circle surrounded by undead. Kind of reminds me of the sort of style of Warhammer art that we have a lot of. I mean, the Grail Knights and Guardians may as well be Space Marines in this particular situation. Anyway, the bounce power is at about 55% in our favor. I believe Kemmler has actually backed off rather than supporting everybody, and rather than summon Krell, he's got a random White King, Maximilian von, okay, maybe not so random, Maximilian von Karlsburg, here to try to duel our... No, just a random Grail Knight. Okay, well, good luck to him. I don't think the White King is going to have that good of a time either. And Amalric is in the center of everything, once again looking absolutely fantastic with his candle pope hat. And it looks like our other paladin has arrived. In theory, we could have sent him against Kemmler himself, but right now we need everybody to try to actually make their way into the enemy settlement. The Graveguard around the entrance are still kicking, but they are down to about half of their HP, even if their model count is still pretty high. And it looks like it's time to start slowly grinding them down. Huh, peasants are disrupted? Silenced? Why? How? All the way back here. Why are they? Okay, I don't know what's doing that, but I suppose it doesn't really matter. What does matter is, as we can see, the enemy numbers are dropping, where before the Grail Knights looked completely surrounded. It looks like ours are the numbers that are beginning to tell. Oh, we've got the Spellbreakers here. They're the ones that are adding the disruption. I guess there are a few units that are here, and then a few units that are here from the same mobs, which is why I was surprised that these units were disrupted. But I suppose, once again, it won't matter all that much. Also, I like how our units are sort of in the sort of more lit portion of the map, and then you head into the dark a little bit, and it's full of undead with all those glowing eyes and that. It's quite nice. And we're still holding them off very nicely. We have had to heal the Grail Knights several times at this point, though. And given them a couple of those lovely Shield of Thorns to make them reflect some of that melee damage. But it's certainly more healing than we would usually tend to do with the Grail Knights and Guardians when they sort of ride around, never taking too many hits at once. Anyway, the bounce power is now shifted to about 80% in our favor, and we are certainly drawing closer and closer to the victory. Our prophetesses are now hovering over the battlefield, and if they really wanted to, they could join in. And looks like Krell has been summoned. Yes, so we move our paladin to fight Kemmler, and he summons Krell just as he does. And in a 2-on-1, I would expect the paladin is not going to have as good of a time. So what we're going to try to do is try to get, well, we'll still try to go after Kemmler, who's trying to ride around, but we should try to get Malric in here to help out. So that we can have 2 duels instead of this 2-on-1. Alrighty, and Malric is trying to break through the press of the enemies, but there are still a decent amount of them remaining. He doesn't have enough mass to quite push through them, and the Crypt Hulk's moving him is probably not helping matters all that much. On the bright side, though, it looks like most of the enemies around the gate have been destroyed, though there are a few reinforcements looking to make their way forward. And, oh wow, our paladin has actually severely damaged Kemmler now, though he has lost a fair bit of his own HP. About 40%, but we can always regrow him as needed, and if Amalric hasn't broken through as yet, we can give this guy Harmonic Convergence to bump up his melee attack and defense for a little while. A nice aspect of having the basic elements of the Heavens lore available to us, even without putting points in it. And here we go, here comes Amalric, but here come the enemy skeletons as well. We'll try to have somebody execute Kemmler. It doesn't really even matter who at this point. And the regrowth is now popping off on that paladin, so he'll be up to full health in short order. I'm surprised Kemmler is still kicking, but one more hit delivered to him rather than one there. Oh, wow. What? It looked like poor Kem went flying. I'm not entirely sure whether that was a coincidence and maybe one of the skeletons went flying instead, because yeah, Kemmler's actually down here. But it looked like it was Kemmler that went flying instead, which was pretty amusing. And considering how sassy Kemmler is, that, I don't know, that amuses me even more. Anyway, our reinforcements have actually arrived, not that we needed them here, and our fire arrows are now coming down upon the enemy. But with the defeat of Kemmler and the soon-to-be, already defeat of Krell, doesn't look like the enemy has a prayer. Especially now that our reinforcements are here, we could always get even more units into the settlement, but it looks like it's not going to be needed. Also, gotta say, very nice work out of the Grail Knights and Grail Guardians, just sort of standing and fighting rather than charging. I do enjoy that quite a bit as well, rather than relying on their obnoxious charges. But at the same time, the charges are just so entertaining to watch, so it's kind of hard to choose. Actually, speaking of charges, since there's not much left, we may as well... There we go. Oh, he accelerates into the charge so quickly, and there we go. One little charge through one unit, and the poor little doggos are just going to trample them, who lose about over 60% of their HP to the first unit, and another 25% to the other unit moving in, and both of these units get pretty much crushed. And before we turn back around and come in again. Alright, it looks like with that, the battle is pretty much done. There's a couple of units that are still around, but they will melt away as soon as we effectively get into proximity. Maybe get one little additional charge in. There we go. But it'd be a complete battle without at least a few charges. There we go. I'm always impressed when they can charge uphill like this rather than downhill. But besides... what goes up must come down, and we go back downhill to charge through the last remaining of the enemies and bring the battle home. Lovely. Alrighty, there we go. That was some very solid enchantressing. 400 and... Hey, what the heck? I didn't do that. 481 kills and 101,000 damage, considering she never cast any damaging spells with the sole exception of one, two, I guess. Chalice of Potions Comets, which I assume are weaker than the regular Comet of Cassandora Overcast, but I haven't actually checked. We should double up with her regular... Wait, can she cast Comet? Or can she only cast Chain Lightning? I don't remember. What I do know is that she didn't cast the Dwellers Below and was otherwise just sort of fighting on the ground together with her Grail Knights and Grail Guardians, soon to be doubling up on the Grail Guardians as they have reached rank 9. Isn't it lovely? And the peasants got to play once again with, as usual, the Holy Wardens of La Maison Tal getting 17k damage and outdoing the rest. Occupy. Lovely. Kemmler is looking to be on the way out in rather short order. Ooh, the item we can turn into something useful. Let's see. Scroll of Blast, Scroll of Stability, Fuse. Ridden Rod. Very nice. Very nice indeed. The more of these we have, the better. Sort of Battle I like, so we're keeping, but sort of Swift Slang and Gold Sigil Sword I don't care for, so we'll fuse into an Ogre Blade. Don't really care for that one either. It's all good. Why does it feel like we have way more purple items than... Well, we do literally have more purple items than blue items. Looks like a little bit more greens, but not by much. Go figure. Engineer's Knapsack. Okay, wait, that's going to get into the ranged army for obvious reasons. Well, actually, wait. Enemy action discuss chance, servant, yeah, that's great. Defeated Heinrich Kemmler, yeah, more spell resistance. It's great as well. Here is the thing, or one of the things. I figure we'll want the Engineer's Knapsack in this army. The reason being, where's that Engineer's Knapsack? Do you need the speed reduction? Yeah, you're in a unicorn, you have stock, and oh, this gives you ammunition? Oh, I didn't realize it gives you personally ammunition. Oh, then it should be one of you. Actually, funnily enough, it would probably be a decent choice on Bertrand. But admittedly, I'm not sure that these guys actually run out of ammunition all that often. Guy Le Gros does need to be close to melee oftentimes because he has melee abilities. You, not so much, though you're a decent melee fighter. I'm gonna say give you the Engineer's Knapsack for now, buddy. And then we'll see. Now the thing is, as I said before, the Bowmen of Bergerac have a bad tendency to run out of ammunition very quickly, even with the ammunition buffs that we have. Just spraying their arrows all over the place, and thusly we'll need to compensate for that to some degree. Anyway, I do believe we did the building, but I didn't build anything at Summersfall Fort because the thing here was... Wait, where is this? That was this location, eh? The question was whether we build both the sanctuaries, or one of the sanctuaries at the very least, and then we should probably build a Cathedral of the Lady. Here's the thing, 2 of the slots will be taken up, guaranteed by the Sacred Pool. We want at least a few of those because of the growth for all provinces, and magic item drop chance from battle, regardless of the hero capacity for Paladins and Sons, because we can get that out of the Menagerie. But the rest of this is probably worth our time, so we should probably construct it. Yeah, I'm gonna say 1 Cathedral of the Lady, and then 1 of the chapels, and then, yeah. I'd like to build the Carpenter's Workshop as well, we just don't have room for it. Frankly, there's an argument to be made for just getting rid of the Sanctuary here and then replacing it either with a Grail Chapel or a Royal Stables of Valor. I know that I was building this because of the Healer's Camp here, but frankly, we need the capacities more right now. Alright, you know what? Oh wait, no, I was gonna save that to upgrade Skaven Blade. Our armies are going to need heroes, after all. Though I will probably trend towards building more capacities in the mountains, because they're yellow territories, and thusly, you know, might as well. Especially considering the Grail Chapels in particular also confer control bonuses, which would make it easier to, you know, hold these places without horrific public order issues. I believe that's it. Alright, so skip, and hero not move. What hero not move? Oh, it's these 2, yeah, that's fine. And Jolene has leveled up. Who's Jolene? Oh, right, you have Battle Pilgrim buff, which is fine. Alright, skip. And Caravan next turn, I believe that's it. Alright, let's end the turn. Actually, you know what, let's do this. You get some trebs to name. You can be Fetche la Vache, like so, and then you, Field Treb, can be a Tree Bucket. Like so, alright. And, okay, it's good enough for now because I want to end the turn and then be right back and move my cat. 1 second.
Greetings. Who seeks my wise counsel?
Damn it, my bad. I was hoping to avoid the diplomacy request, but it is what it is. Alright, decline for now, buddy. Decline for now.
No evildoer.
And, there it is. Alright, we were waiting for this war declaration. Most likely St. Jacques is gonna fall, but there isn't too much we can do about it right now. Oh, they did it because Bordello confederated Brigand, and... Huh. If we call our allies to hell, Bordello Errant will be here, but I think regardless of the fact that we'll probably lose some territory, I don't necessarily want Bordello Errant and any of these guys really to move this way, so we're not going to call allies to help. And we need to immediately send an army there. With whatever troops we've got. Because everybody else is too far away. Perhaps I erred in sending the ranged army here, but admittedly... we want the Fay Enchantress to go deal with the Mask of Slaanesh, so, eh. And we also had no other army to send down here anyway, so it is what it is. Also, by fighting Deathmaster Snitch, we will most likely be of some help to the Cult of Sotek, so they might be staying alive just by virtue of it. Which is good. Though I once again have a bit of a hard time imagining any of the lizard units working with any of the Bretonnian units. Gotta think of any one of the any ones that might be, I don't know, more sensible. I'll think about it. Anyway, what do we have here? Borgzep Scuttle. Huh, I wasn't expecting that. This is who? This is Clan Fester out of Fester Spike? Huh, you know what? I'm gonna sick Orion on you, because I don't really care about Fester Spike. Do this. Call allies for help. There you go. And the annoying aspect of this is that we've taken territory here, and it's going to be, you know, something of an issue defending this. But hopefully all good. sudden war declarations are coming in, which is also interesting considering we've now started pumping out armies and these guys decide to declare war after we've started getting considerably stronger. I somewhat question it. Or at the very least, I somewhat question the AI's decisions here. By the looks of it, however, we are looking okay. Alright. In that light, there we go, a new ice core. Hello! Ooh, this time they've got Gores, Bestigores, and Razor Gores, and Bull Gores. That's much better. We're fighting this. Ain't no doubt about that. Last time we fought Ungores and no Bestigores and no Bullgores, just 1 unit of Centigores or something. This is significantly stronger. That's what I like to see. Once again, all praise to the caravan system and the algorithm. Go.
The lady rewards valor. Show her that yours shines most bright.
Alrighty, here we go. Our Empire Knights and our Knights of the Realm have now been joined by the Winged Lancers of Kislev, which, by the looks of it, take the blue portion of our color scheme, but don't use any of the orange portion at all. Huh, I guess their shields are probably orange? It's kind of hard to see, sort of. Whatever. Not a big deal though, because our own Knights of the Realm are all the riotous colors they are. Anyway, we will have all of our Knights charge in on the left flank, with some units being used to focus specific things down, like the anti-large Knights of the Realm against the Razor Gores, whereas the Winged Lancers, who are going to be very effective at charging through blobs of infantry, being an anti-infantry unit, will, well, go through all those Gores and well, no Ungores this time, but Gores. In the meantime, the enemy closes the distance with a bunch of Bestigores, which are going to absolutely annihilate our poor men-at-arms, both of which have lost more than half of their HP already. We'll put them in the boxy formation and just fire into them, as we got guns aplenty. The Free Company Militia, Streltsy, and Imperial handguns firing into those Bestigores, trying to penetrate their armor best as they can. In the meantime, we have an enemy unit of Bullgores running around. Tier 4, very scary. And absolutely not to be underestimated. The Bullgores that I had in my Scarbrand campaign, I figured because the Bullgores had a Mark of Corn, I would put them together with the various Minotaurs of Corn. And despite the fact that the Bullgores didn't have our red line buffs or our technologies to buff them, they were often performing either the same or better than our Minotaurs of Corn, which is pretty interesting. Anyway, looks like the Minotaurs are attempting to surround our Lord Esteban here. But in the meantime, while we're keeping them busy, our Knights are charging into the rear ranks of the enemy Bestigores and Gores, and by the looks of it, the enemy melee line is crushed. The peasant mobs, or the men-at-arms, which are, well, they are mobs of peasants. They are mobs of peasants, but not peasant mobs, have managed to hold them just long enough for our Knights to come in and save the day, which is kind of what Bretonnia is all about, so, you know. Anyway, there we go. Ooh, our own lord is pretty severely beat up now, having been keeping those Bullgores busy, but now we have the Halberdiers move on in, together with the rest of the Knights, and we will do our best to use Knights of the Realm and Co. to surround the Bullgores and destroy them for good. There is also the enemy lord, who has actually moved towards our backline and has been mincing a fair few of these handguns. For a while, we're going to send our Empire captain to try to distract him and back away the handguns, while we move the rest of our handguns into position to simply gun him down. Not going to wait for a million years for the duel between him and the Empire captain, and we'll have the handgunners deal with it instead. One volley from all the handguns, and the enemy Beast Lord disappears in a hail of bullets torn to shreds by sheer volume of fire. With the fall of the Beast Lord, even the brute Minotaurs realize that they've no hope and shatter, and with that, the battle is ours. A very nice little fight, I gotta say, and happy to see all the different cavalry types working together. Yeah, once again, it's a little bit of a shame that we don't have a red line in the caravan that gives buffs to the other units, but at the same time, what we do have is, once we're past level 12, the ability to give everybody Strider, which is going to be tremendously helpful to the knights. So that is a buff, and actually a considerably strong one for cavalry units. Probably better than most of the red line buffs anyway.
Slay it in the name of the...
Alrighty, another very nice fight, and I would say that our international cavalry exchange program has certainly met with resounding success here. We've got the Winged Lancers, by the looks of it, performing the best in terms of at least pure damage and kills, but this is because we were using them to ride through gores a little bit more. The best performing are both of the Knights of the Realm, came in second with about 26 to 27,000 damage, but their damage delta's gold value with 1900 and 1500 are both actually higher than that of the Winged Lancers, despite the considerably lower damage and kill count, because these guys were going after more critical targets like the Bestigors, the Razor Gores, and the Bull Gores. And then lastly, the Empire Knights, which best performing did 15k damage, obviously lower because they're terrible units by comparison to the Knights of the Realm and the Winged Lancers, but they still serve their purpose here, and I've been using them more like light cav, essentially moving them in after the damage has been dealt by the others. I've been very much enjoying this mixed cavalry sort of thing that we got going on with Esteban's caravan, I gotta say. We will, I guess, ransom the captives. Everybody's been ransoming captives, so everybody's gonna get that negative trait, kidnapper, I guess. But what can you do? New Ice Court, regional power, we've seen that already. Confederation, Kuhan. You already confederated Longyi and got everyone killed. Literally, they're all gone. Did you have to do that with marches too? And then we lose the outpost, but that doesn't really matter over much. What does matter is hopefully these guys can get another territory, or if Marienburg gets wiped out, we can steal their slot here. Yeah. Anyway, a maximum number of caravans have increased as well. Though our money has been dropping, we're down from 13k at the zenith to 7.5k, which ain't as great, but mission failed against Norska. Yeah, I get that game. That one was never going to happen at this time in the game. Anyway, what I was saying was that our money has been dropping, but we just need to claim some new territory in order to make it happen. And, ooh, wait. Are you telling me the mask did not wipe them out? Yeah, they left to borrow here, right in the middle of their own territory, to instead go after the lizards, which is a bit of a shame. I don't know if we can reach them in time, the lizards, I mean. Because we need our main army to deal with the masks army, I think. None of the others are ready for it. The range one is a bad matchup, so we're not going to send them that way.
Shall come to pass.
Even though they're a little bit closer. But admittedly not that much closer, so yeah. Either way, that'll be something we'll have to figure out next time, because we're out of time, and I'm going to have to call the episode here. I believe next time we should be able to wipe out the Barrow Legion for good. Fairly quickly, I might add, and complete a couple of errantries while we're at it. We will also have to book it with at least a few of our new units towards where Deathmaster Snitch is most likely moving to attack us, so Saint Jacques will be the site of the next fight. Might even up some of the regiments of renown in here temporarily to try to defend it. Ferignac will not fall, because I think it'll be fine, but we will at the very least want to defend this place. As to whether that works out, we shall see, and we might fight the Gotrek and Felix battle if I remember next time around as well, so stay tuned for all that. Don't forget to leave those likes and comments below, especially the threshold for the double episode. All glory to the threshold, and thanks for watching.